As undergraduates, visually impaired students came together to form an association in 1988. Then I was a secondary school student. That continued until 2006, where it now metamorphosed from being an association that focused on male welfareism to a non-governmental organization that is pragmatic about egalitarianism. And instead of restricting itself to people with visual impairment, it took head-on the issue of championing rights of all persons with disabilities.
I got to know about NAPVID in 2014 through a radio station in Benin City, one of the radio stations in Benin City.
So when I had this challenge, it was like my dream has actually come to an end. So for good 13 years, I was at home doing nothing. In the year 2013, NAPVID enrolled me back to school.
I never knew I could attend a tertiary education. I never knew I could go to the university or even study the course of my dreams.
I never really had, people to encourage me going to school. So it did all of that, and it made the funds available. I went, I took the exam, I passed. He paid for both the acceptance fees and the school fees, through the organization. And I started. I had challenges with my hands because at the point, I couldn't really hold anything firm, so it affected my going to school, and the school authorities were not willing to understand. But because I had promised, the president of the organization that I wouldn't let him down. I've done JAM about 10 times, and I've made it 10 times. And each time I do it and I make it, one health challenge will crop up. The president has actually been a great inspiration to me.
By the time you empower, you educate a child, you've done the best for him.
We have had cooperation from the Edo State government. In 2013, in this regard, about 30 persons with disabilities through our advocacy were employed. In 2018, we have another 25 persons with disabilities were given job into the core civil service of the state.
And believe me, when you go around, they are all doing well in their different places of work.
I remember when he first walked into my office, I really wondered, what am I going to do with Sam? But I've been pleasantly surprised. He's a star performer in archives. I do believe he has even won a Staff of the Month once or twice. He's an asset to Edo GIS and a testament that people with disabilities are not necessarily mentally unable or physically unable to contribute to the economy. Once you make the little allowances they need to be able to function fully, they're just as good as just any other person.
In these 2 years, I'll kind of say I've been promoted like thrice, because the first department I went, they posted me to was customer service. I was one of the customer service officer too. From there, they moved me to land administration officer, as a land administration officer too. Now I'm currently the archive officer and document control. So what we do there is more of controlling of documents, all landed documents, fixing them, tracking them, verifying them, systematically setting them up, storing them in archives and all of that. So what we do there is huge.
Documentation is perhaps even the most important aspect of our organization. And that we are able to entrust Sam into that department means or shows the level of confidence we have in his abilities.
I got my job as an advocate through NAPVID in 2014 when we paid a courtesy call to the immediate past administration.
I had interactions with the president, Barrister Melody Omosan. From there, I think we paid a courtesy visit to the University of Benin and gave my CV to the then VC. So shortly thereafter, I was shortlisted for this job. So today, this is where I am, the library, University of Benin Library.
The thing about Mr. Gwagi Matthew is that he's one person who wants to get into areas you least expect him to participate in. He does not want to shy away from work and does not want to be excused from any task. He has brought his exposure in other areas to the job, and I can tell you he's doing very well.
We are actually learning that we went to school. They consider us because of our level of education and our qualifications.
It was through NAPVID I got this employment. So I'm so grateful to NAPVID all the days of my life.
The Edo Skills Acquisition Agency, otherwise known as Edo Jobs, embarked on a training for 100 youth in the States. They realized that they needed to have a PWD component, so NAPVID was also drafted in the collaboration, and NAPVID collaborated with Edo Jobs.
We recently completed a project for leather works, that's shoes, bags, wallets, all sorts of things that people can make with leather. And we wanted to design that program specifically for people living with disabilities. And yes, we were thinking, oh, would this be relevant? Would they be able to do it? But we've learned over time to not just assume, that let's ask the people who can tell us. And that project was really, really successful. I mean, we had over 98% success rate on the NAPTEP exams after carrying out that project, and it has really inspired us.
Towards the end of the training period, they were all provided materials to do what they've learned over time in the course of the training, and many of them pulled through well.
We're very happy because NAPVID is working like that technical partner that understands the sector and is teaching us, helping us, and then ensuring that we hit our goal.
It's one thing to know the skill, it's another thing to establish with it. With this project help that is ongoing, NAPVID has gone ahead to empower some persons.
I remember the first time I actually heard about the JAWS part components was from NAPVID, and we had a stakeholders meeting, and all of them came and said they really needed a center so that persons living with disabilities will be able to access that facility. And today, that facility is nearly completed, but in use based on the level where it is. And I'm excited that it's the project that has been seen to that level.
Now that we have a responsible administration, a responsible government, I think this is the time we need a legal framework to institutionalize those engagements, those things that we need. It is important that those things should be institutionalized so that when other administration comes, it becomes so difficult for it to be changed.
I was at the Goodluck Jonathan National Dialogue on Nigeria's unity, and a question was posed to him on one single thing that could be done, to make the huge difference that we need to see in Nigeria. And he said something most people would, really not say: gender equality. Very powerful point. So I want to believe Governor Godwin Obaseki is somebody who is very alive, to the yearnings and aspirations of his people, but more so with traditionally marginalized and underrepresented groups, like persons with disabilities, women, and youth. And he will listen to the disability community on the need to domesticate the Disability Act within the state, and he will do so speedily.
NAPVID is, I would say, is the best thing that any disabled from this part of the world would have experienced. For a very long time, we've not seen an organization that is organized, an organization that is transparent, an organization that has the heart of the common disabled. The disabled does not have a voice, but NAPVID has come as a voice to the voiceless, underprivileged.
When they have access and they have information and they have access, then we have been able to, at least to some extent, give them a level playing field.
Generally, I believe managers and general society should learn to understand that people with disabilities, first and foremost, are people. They have dreams, they have ambition, they have aspirations, and most of all, they have talents, which we can exploit and employ to achieve desired results.
The story of the brave Lord guide in all truth cannot be said without the name Melody Omosa.
And one thing I liked about NAPVID, led by Barrister Melody, is the commitment and the passion.
We all need to be builders of this nation. We do not want to be mere consumers of the proverbial national cake. We are interested in putting our hands on the deck to contribute to the growth of the nation. We need that support from every individual and development partners for us to get this done.